I must say, 3 years is a long time.
Well, sometimes you work on something and just get burnt out from it and never quite recover.
And that is what happened here?
Yeah. Being my third kinetic sculpture, and my first motorized one at that, it really gave me quite the trouble, mostly because I was trying to fight physics, which is generally not a good idea.
Please explain.
The mechanism in the bottom segment, being just a piston action, simply moves the arm up, down, up, down, up. You get it. But there's this little known thing called gravity, which is pushing down all the time, so when the arm hits the top, it immediately starts going down with speed, but when at the bottom, it holds there for a bit, then struggles to get back up, causing the loop to keep changing pace between a slow rise and a quick descent.
Perhaps it makes the motion look more organic?
I wouldn't say that to be my first thought, but speaking of organic, the problem of adding a motor to your kinetic sculpture is, well, it sounds like a motor, which kind of breaks the immersion for a sentient blob of space jelly that just floats there silently.
I see.
Yet oddly enough, said blob of sentient space jelly was the easiest part of the build.
And quite the part usage you have going on. What with those 2 translucent neon green cockpit halves making up the membrane?
Oh, that ain't nothing. For the nuclei inside, I used 3 red minifigure afros, and let me tell you, those things weren't cheap. They cost me $10 each.
Ouch.
There was no other option that came even close, but I must say the end result is worth it.
Is it supposed to be the baby from Metroid 2?
Not specifically, but I imagine it's the first thing that comes to mind.
Is there anything in the top segment of the capsule?
No. In early concepts, I did try to station the battery box up there and use some convoluted methods to transfer power to the motor below, but those were met with complete and utter failure.
What prevented you from increasing the footprint to more easily accommodate both in the bottom?
Lego pieces tend to find their own ratio. The Metroid came together perfectly thanks to those cockpit pieces, and since the capsule was designed to fit the Metroid, it in turn could not be greatly adjusted.
And persistence prevailed.
Yes, it did, but boy is it crammed in there. Yeah, my biggest issue is that the battery box had to be so integrated into the build that it cannot be removed without disassembling the entire bottom segment. That, and there's a little secret door that just sets in place so you can actually press the button to turn it on, which is kind of awkward.
I suppose, but this is a display model after all.
Yeah, but it's just also messy from a design standpoint. I did make a hand crank version which is far cleaner, but it's hard to appreciate the movement when you're that close.
Speaking of the design, you were going to submit this to LEGO Ideas, no?
Correct. My initial plan was to gather more subscribers here on YouTube to give me a fighting chance, considering my last Ideas project, Samus Aran's helmet, only got 720 supporters. But I never actually did, and so the model just faded away, until this year when I began cleaning out my backlog, and even then I still wasn't going to submit it.
So what changed?
Well, I figured I could either submit it and have the possibility, albeit large, of it failing, or not submitting it and having the guarantee of it so. So I chose option A. But there was a problem.
Being?
I was glancing through the submission guidelines when one caught my eye which stated that you should avoid using parts that haven't been seen used in a new LEGO set for several years. And given the fact that the primary construction of the Metroid is comprised of cockpit pieces that were last produced in 1997, I think it's safe to say no matter how many votes I got, LEGO would not take too kindly to having to resurrect a part that hasn't been seen in 28 years.
So you decided to save everyone the hassle and forget the whole thing.
Yep. I've leaned too heavily on the idea that LEGO could just fix it in post, but this and Samus's helmet would just require too much modification to make work as official sets.
With all that said, what is the status of the project?
Finalized. For now. Given the complex nature of the motorized version, I'm only releasing instructions for the hand crank variant, which you can find on BrickSafe. Although I have faintly thought about how I could make it work for LEGO Ideas. The sticking point is creating a Metroid that looks good and doesn't use ancient pieces, so a possible solution is making it 2D pixel art, like the Super Mario World set. A second option would be in a voxel format.
What are voxels?
Essentially 3D pixels. Brick 101 made an 8-bit Link based off of a voxel-styled amiibo, although it is quite big. In the end, any redesign of the Metroid Capsule will not be a simple retool, but an entirely new model, one which I'm not currently planning to attempt at this time.
Speaking of time, I think that concludes ours.
I believe you are right. If you want to see more of my Metroid Capsule, check out the links in the description. But that's all from us for now.
Thanks for stopping by.
Have a good one.